Welcome, AfterBuzzers. You are watching the After Show for When They See Us, Part 3. Stay tuned for more.
You're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Welcome back. We are back for another Part 3 of When They See Us.
Yes.
It's been an emotional roller coaster, but we're here.
But we're here. We made it. We made it. Yeah.
One more to go, but yeah, we got to dig into this. It's so great. Again, my name is Shaka. I'm joined by my wonderful co-hosts, Kittie and Lexi. So glad to see you guys again.
Hey, everybody. Here.
Got my tribe. So we're going to go over news, predictions. Of course, we have our top 3 quotable moments we got to go over as well. But let's just find out your overall thoughts of this episode, especially... Did you find it a little bit heavier or not as heavy as the prior 2 episodes?
So I think I differ from you guys in my personal opinion. This one was a lot lighter. The actual going through the process and them being taken down in the lies and just that whole situation, how it happened, that was super painful for me. My heart and my gut were wrenched watching these. I mean, I'm a mom of a black boy. You know, I could just see my son in that situation and it was very terrifying. So that was super heavy for me. But this one I thought was a little lighter, only because now they're out. So all the circumstances and situations and choices they've made, obviously they could be heavy or not. But I just, at least they're home. Like that, for me, makes it a little lighter.
Yeah.
For me, it was actually a little bit heavier for me. I was saying while we were watching, like, oh my gosh, I've been able to hold it in. I haven't cried for the first 2 parts, but this was actually the first part where I actually cried. And I think what it was for me was with the first 2 parts, we kind of already knew what was going to happen. We knew that they were going to eventually be found guilty and go to jail. But what I didn't know was the after effects of what happened after they were to get out. And I was actually shocked that they did it. Go more into them being in jail, but actually more with them kind of dealing with the aftermath of it all, which I thought was great because, you know, we see the story about black men in jail, but we don't really see how it affects their life after. So to see how, you know, they ended up getting back in trouble or they weren't able to find jobs or just the way people looked at them in the streets made it so sad. And the main part that really just kind of broke me down was seeing that moment with Kevin and his sister. Because like you said, you have a son, so you see it from the perspective of a mother. But I don't have kids, but I do have a younger black brother. Right. So kind of seeing how she was dealing with it and seeing her have that moment with her brother really kind of took me there. So I think I actually felt a lot heavier after this episode than the others.
Yeah, I thought the mood was lighter, but I felt a little bit heavier in that, you know, I knew what the story was, but there's some sort of hope. And you see these young boys, and then seeing them, it was just jarring to me to see them as adults. It was like the life was taken, it was stolen. And so that was the heavy part of it, and then having to watch them cope with, and then knowing it was all systemic, it was all part and parcel of that initial thing.
Exactly.
So that was tough. But let's dig into it. We got some great topics: relationships. We're going to focus on the job situation and focus on the public, the relationship between the public and the Central Park 5, these young men.
Right.
So let's talk about the relationships. We see that, you know, some of these guys even got romantic relationships fairly quickly. And we talk about the relationships, again, the familial relationships and how that held them together. Especially, you talked about it, Lexi, the familial relationships. What did you think about how the families held these young boys together throughout their time in prison?
What really stood out to me was kind of seeing the difference of how they had that closeness with their family when they were in jail and how it kind of differed once they got out. You kind of think it would be more the opposite, like once you came out, you're back embraced with your family, you're free. But for me, in my opinion, it felt like they actually were closer to their families when they were calling them every day and when, you know, they were coming to visit them. But when they came out is when the reality hit, like, life has gone on without me, and I don't know what's going on. These are people I haven't seen in years. And you could just kind of see those moments where they, even though they were surrounded by family, they kind of felt alone. I know I felt that the most when Yusef finally went home and they're having this big welcome home party, but he's kind of just sitting to himself looking, you know, like he's so out of place. And it's like, wow, even if you did have that support, you can still come out and feel more lonely than ever. So seeing that was a real eye-opener for me.
Yeah, I think the parents and the families did all that they could to make them feel inclusive and to create a sense of kind of safety or you're okay now thing. But I don't think that there's anything they could have done or said to really let that resonate with them. If you've done that many years in jail, there's a point of view that is very hard to change or to alter, no matter what the circumstances when you're out are. And the fact that their families did put forth the effort speaks volumes to us as a community and how we support our people. I loved when he was in the store. What's the Hispanic sport name?
Raymond.
Thank you. You know I'm horrible with the names. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm paying attention. I swear, I'm just bad with names. But I love that his family, that his neighbors came to him and was just like, listen, we have always supported you. We've always believed in you. And we know what it means to have gone through this. So we got your back. Like that was so heartwarming to me. Yeah, it's paramount because, I mean, that's what you need to hear when you're out here and you literally are going from one person to the other and everybody's giving you nasty looks and just closing doors in your faces.
Or
tough,
even, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but even in Raymond's case, he came home and had a stepmother who didn't even want him there and was so rude to him, who
so nasty,
called him a rapist, didn't even give him the chance to get to know him and really figure out who he was.
And why would his father allow her to just go off like that? I guess he tried
it's
to fit
that
the
balancing
piece.
test.
Yeah,
right. His wife, and so he's doing his best, and he's got his new children around as well. And you got to think about the mentality of these young men when they're coming out. It's got to be so tough because I believe those families tried to shield them because they were kids when they went in.
Right.
So when the mom says, "Oh, everything's fine," it was so they don't even realize the stuff that their family members are going through because they were kids. They were shielded from it. And they come out and now there's no shielding. There's no I can't hide you from this or hide you from that. Now you're an adult, so you need to see it too, anyways. So I think that was tough. Watching them having to navigate that part of it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Or that just, they're completely different people now. Like you said, they went in when they were 14, 15, 16, and now they're grown men, but they're grown men who haven't been out in this world.
That have no
Some of them
clue
lived
about
more
social
of their
morals.
life in jail than they lived out of it. So they're a completely different person, coming into a world that's already been going on without them there.
Yeah, and just being exposed to certain things, not knowing about, the way he looked at that beeper like it was a foreign, something from Mars.
We're looking at it like,
Right, exactly. Especially in retrospect, because we know beepers are out, whatever. But just certain things that, they just weren't acclimated to, getting a haircut and just going through the motions and learning the hard, horrible truth that in addition to, like, they didn't get it bad enough that they spent all this time wrongly accused, now they come home and they have to register as being a sex offender. The humility of it all. Like, I just can't fathom having to say, okay, I'm copping to this, and so now I have to do all this time, and then I come home and I'm copping to something else that's even now. It's a lot. Their lives were literally changed forever.
And we see how their personal relationships were affected because, you're still in jail, but you still, you have your needs and you want your companionship, not just your physical needs, but your soulful needs. And we see how they had trouble communicating in those relationships and trying to make those work. What did you think about, in particular, Kittie, Raymond's relationship with Tanya and how that was growing and he kind of cut her off, but he found himself having just to face the truth and give her the truth?
Okay, Raymond is...
Santana, the Hispanic guy.
Okay, thank you. I thought that was poetic. I really did. It was kind of like a love story that wasn't really able to fully blossom. So, of course, it broke my heart that he took that choice and made that his way out because... inevitably, I saw it coming a mile away. As soon as he sat down on the stoop, I was like, it's over. He's already made his choice. So that really was painful to watch. And I don't know, we didn't see her reaction to it, so I don't know how she felt about, him making that choice. But I did think that it was beautiful to see them come together, kind of find themselves, even with the interruption of the stepmother. You never wrote me, you cut me off. Like, at least she was able to come back around. And so in that brief moment, them finding joy and bringing that kind of joy to each other, it was so beautiful to watch. It really was. It was a love story. And, they were able to make it work at least momentarily.
Yes, yeah.
You know what? I'm a huge fan of Love After Lockdown on WeTV. And I couldn't help but think about that when I was watching them, like, wow, this stuff really happens because, it happened on Love After Lockdown. And it's funny watching that show where usually when they come, they have that moment when they come and they're like, oh, we're so in love. Like, we haven't been around each other for years. And then it completely goes downhill.
Oh, no.
So even though I kind of knew that reality, still deep down I was kind of rooting for them.
This is what we keep doing, right?
Because just seeing him in that place where he didn't really have the support from his family and he was kind of in a low place, he felt hopeless. It finally felt like a light that was coming into his life. So even though you kind of know the things that could happen, the negatives, I just couldn't help but to want it to work out for them.
Especially the way it started, because as a man, for me, it's always tough to express ourselves, and for him to sit there and tell her, like, essentially I ghosted you, but like I can't even explain that because I had hope and I don't have hope anime That was so powerful to me.
Exactly.
And I was like, this has got to work. You
Yeah,
know?
right? But see, that's the thing that I think is so dope that we've said consistently throughout the panels is that there's this beacon of hope that keeps being ingested. So big ups to Ava for making sure that she told the story in such a way that we know the outcome, yet we're still sitting there on the edge of our seats like, maybe it's going to be different. Maybe it'll be a good outcome. Maybe they'll fall in love and nobody will mess with them and they can ride out into the sunset.
Well, and truthfully, I didn't know this part of the story, so I mean, I really didn't know. Like, I was like, maybe it is. Maybe he's got his stuff together. Maybe he's only going to sell a little bit and get back to her.
Yeah, that's what we were hoping, right?
Know.
That he gets in and gets out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty sad to watch him go down that spiral. But I already knew once I saw the FUBU jacket, I was like, it's over. He done spent the money on FUBU. I don't know. It's not looking
the TV
good.
that was bigger than himself. So he was already engaging in like just not getting the initial to and then we also had the relationship between Tron and his girl.
Right.
Yeah, and we saw how quickly
that
dissolved.
opening up to and being vulnerable can turn into that, especially when you have a past.
Right.
What did you guys think about her kind of pulling out that ace trump card, if you will?
I think, like you said, they seem like they're okay with your past until they get upset or you do something to offend them or they're not getting what they want, and all of a sudden it's just thrown in your face. And I remember us watching and being like, oh my gosh, why did she do that? Like, that was so unnecessary. But at the same time, she probably already had these things in the back of her
preconceived
mind.
notion.
And now she's upset and she's like, well, you are the person I thought you were anyway, so I'm just going to say whatever I can say to hurt your feelings.
Yeah, and like you said, like we talked as we were watching, she probably didn't even believe it because she believed that she wouldn't be dating him.
Exactly.
But she knew she could say it to hurt him.
Yeah.
And that's what he now has to deal with, something that's not even true.
Exactly. I've often, and I'm not saying by any stretch of the imagination that I'm like amazing at this, but I've learned over the years how to fight fair.
Yeah.
And I don't care what the situation is, never, ever, ever. If it's a person that you genuinely care about, somebody cut you off on the highway, call them whatever 1001 Bs. But someone that you genuinely care for and that you care about, you can't say things you can't take back. Yeah. You know what I mean? You can't expect that there's going to be an I'm sorry tomorrow, because I'm sorry is not going to cut it when you just said the most hurtful thing you could possibly say.
Yeah.
And I agree that maybe she didn't know, but there's no way. Well, not know it. I wouldn't be in a relationship with someone that I believed was really a rapist. So there had to be a part of her that didn't believe it, yet she allowed herself to let that bubble up and take over with the I just thought, I didn't think he should be with her anyway. She was I didn't like her approach from Jump Street.
And I just feel like she completely... It wasn't even that big of a deal to me. Like, it's not like he cheated. It's not like she caught him doing something shady. He just didn't have the money to give her what she wanted because he's trying to better his life. And I would think you would be able to understand that.
That's just immaturity
due to the
on her part.
circumstances.
And that was the sad part for me, was like, I wasn't even sure it was a money issue. I thought it was like, people will recognize me and call me out issue. I'm going to have to deal with the public if I take you out to dinner. Maybe they won't serve us. Maybe we got to leave, and that's just going to be shameful.
Yeah, that too.
And so at least that's what I thought was going through his head.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
And so here he is actually trying to protect you from that, and then you kind of went in.
She was
that.
mad immature off the break, though.
Yeah.
I mean, she was just, the things came out of her mouth. I'm from Louisiana. And she just was
things
so
were
like,
off.
you just like the girls. What are you talking about? Calm down, relax.
Well, if you agree with Kitty, you can let her know. And she got a couple comments.
Clearly, I'm opinionated about it.
She got a couple comments for you guys here.
For sure. Yeah, definitely. I just wanted to tell you guys thank you, first and foremost. Very sincerely, you have made us the ESPN of TV Talk, and we appreciate you. So please, however you're watching us, make sure that you support. So if you're on YouTube, give us a good rating and subscribe. And if you're on iTunes, please give us 5 stars, because we deserve it. No, you deserve all the thanks in the world, though. We are genuinely grateful for having you. Being a part of AfterBuzz has meant a huge amount to all of us. We're glad to be here. So thank you so much for joining in the conversation and making us awesome.
Yes, yes, yes. And if you also agree that Tron's girlfriend should not be, acting up,
tell us.
Please let us know.
Yeah, let us know what you
agree.
think. Exactly.
Another kind of post-jail thing that we dealt with was these men trying to find work, and how difficult it is with a record to find work, even when you haven't done it, but you still have a record. What do you guys think about how they navigated, I guess, that difficulty?
One thing I was thinking when I was watching it is, it kind of seems like some people didn't really have the difficulty. Like, it seemed like Raymond was really the one where it was just super duper hard for him. But then you had Yusef, who was able to get a computer job. And then you had Tron, who worked at the movies. And then we saw him working a different job after that. And it's like, I wonder what it was with the dynamics of where they were or what they were doing that made it easier for some and harder for others.
That's a really good point.
And it almost feels like it shouldn't be that way.
Right. Yeah,
the outcome
exactly.
should be equal.
Right, across the board. But as we've seen from day one, nothing is as it should be. You know what I mean? Nothing is as we would expect it to be, and it definitely is not fair across the board.
Yeah, and when moment when he explained to Raymond exactly how they could get him if he doesn't really
that
play it
was
straight.
deep, right?
Just like, that guy's got a felony, and if you're next to him, and I was just like, wow. So they could really have 10 ways to get you that you're not even really, if you're not
aware
careful,
of. Exactly. And you could put yourself back in it unbeknownst to yourself.
Yeah.
And people already have this opinion of you, so you're going back. It's just going to be exacerbated times 10. It won't be like, they won't look at you on a different level. It won't be like, oh, this is, they won't be compartmentalized. Yeah. Oh, this was something that you did and you got out, and so you paid your time for that, and now this is a new thing and we'll address that. It's more like, oh, you just F up all the way around. It was very difficult for me to watch people's reactions to these kids or these now men. And the fact that he said, he hit it right on the head. I forgot his name, but the chocolate one that got married very quickly, that was
Yusef.
in the back. Thank you. Yusef was in the back of the room and basically said, like, get used to that look, because that's what you're going to encounter everywhere you go.
And he had the strong mom that kind of set him up, had made sure he was with the Muslim guys and the Muslim brothers when he went there, linked
That's
him
probably
up.
how I got that wife so fast.
Yeah, but it shows you like the importance. If she didn't have that knowledge, where his outcome could have been right back in jail like Ray. And so that to me is just showing you that this prison system, it doesn't prepare people to go out and become productive members.
That's not their purpose.
If anything, it's the opposite.
It's the opposite.
It's just a strategic way to keep you in that system. Because if you even just think about the prison system, it's not even just about keeping Black men down, even though that's a big thing, but it's also a money maker.
Oh yeah.
When you think about they're making the license plates and they're
getting cents on the
it's
dollar,
big business.
Right,
Prisons are big business. The bottom line is 9/10 of the prisons that are there. Not to get on my soapbox, but I know this for sure. Okay, I don't know the statistics, the numbers, but I know for a fact that at least 9 of the 10 prison system, whatever. All I'm saying is people that are in a position to have a whole lot of money, billionaires, are investing in prisons because they know it's a money maker. So these are private industries. This is nothing that's run by the government. They are literally...
It's modern day slavery is what it is. And they're making it strategic to keep us not only in that mindset, but to keep us on the chain gang like they did when we were slaves, because we can't be actual slaves anymore. So why not have us working for free, making money for us while keeping us down.
Making money for them.
There were so many issues. Ava had the 13th, and there were so many issues that you see in the 13th that really are on full display here with this case.
Yeah.
And that's the sad part, is you see just how they've kept that whole system in place.
Exactly. And it continues to this day. Well, obviously, but it's just such a huge moneymaker that it just breaks my heart to think that that's your motive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? On the backs of our hard labor and the fact that we made one bad choice that can completely change your life, as we've seen
and
5 times over.
sometimes not even making a bad choice, because they're innocent, and there's so many innocent people in prison right now who are just stuck in that same rhythm of how they keep us down. It's very, very discouraging.
And
it is disturbing.
Yeah, and we talked a little bit about it. Well, but was the public's reaction to these men? Obviously it was really disheartening to see some of their loved ones turn against them, but then to see just everywhere they went, it was a prison of the world. Really,
it was a prison of the world. The only people that were accepting were people like the guys that were sitting on the stoop. They know this boy from when he was a child, so they had a different outlook, and they were able to be way more accepting. The guy at the barbershop, I love that he gave him that insight. Like, anything that you want to do that's organized in that fashion, it's not going to happen for you. And I'm glad that he was able to tell him that before he had to go up against it. Kind of saved him the time, I guess you could say. But it was very disheartening to see people just literally have all these preconceived notions about who these kids are, and allow that I'm going to take your money in the store, right? I'll take your money, but I'll give you all this attitude. I'll look down at you. I'll have my own thoughts about who you are and what I think. Even though I know you, I know your family, I remember you grew up here, all that's irrelevant. It's just thrown out the window, and it's just so sad.
And you're dealing with that with probably a mindset that's already and especially for these guys, because they went in as kids, so their mindset's already a little fragile and very different from the rest of ours.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there's really no way to make people understand. I mean, you can't have that kind of heart to heart with everybody you see on the street or anyone that knows your plight. You know what I mean? They have I just found it very I can't think of another word, disheartening that these people have made a judgment about these were children but now grown men without knowing any of the evidence. I mean, if you think about it, that's sheeple, right? That's what we do. We hear one thing and we run with it, and that becomes our reality.
Especially over the course of the last 20 years.
Right.
When, I didn't know about the case at the inception. I heard about it growing up, and I just you hear details about things and you make assumptions about people, not even knowing because
you're lazy, because you don't want to do the work, because you don't want to get to know anybody, because you heard that it was this way, and so that's what you know, and that's how you perform.
And there was one thing that Raymond said was at the very outset of this case. He said within days they were writing articles against us.
Right.
We never even had a chance.
Never.
And that was it.
And that was it from day one. Yeah. Once Felicity got a hold of him, forget about it.
But one thing I really had to think about while watching this is, I'm making this assumption, and it's heartbreaking to watch because I know the truth. I know that they're innocent, but I just had to think, if I was on the opposite end and I didn't know these guys and I truly believed that they did what they did, that they raped this woman, how would I act?
Everything might be you would think that reaction is justified.
It's justified.
I'll take the money, but my gosh, I know what you've done.
And it's like you really just have to think from both ways. It's like at the same time, it's understandable to not want to be around somebody who you think is a rapist, but at the same time, you never really know what the truth is, and you never really know who a person is without really getting to
giving
know
them that point of view.
And even another thing that stuck out to me from the show is when they went to that group session, a place where they were supposed to be able to go for help.
That should have been a safe place.
A safe place, and all they did was turn them into these monsters and didn't give them the opportunity to even better themselves.
What was that about? She was horrible.
Because she's making the same assumption.
Yeah, but she works in the system, so I felt like
it makes her more predisposed to making those assumptions.
Right, and I would think the total opposite. I would think that because you've been through the system, or you work in the system, and you know how these things can be set up, that you would have more of a kinder heart and an open mind. But obviously,
and speaking of the system, we saw so much how the system was ingrained. We saw Raymond taking that shower in his boxer shorts. We saw Tron working out as if he was like in the prison yard. And one of the relationships we kind of missed was Tron and his father. And that was, that was emotional all the way around. What did you guys think about the alienation initially, and of course we got a resolution that was beautiful. What do you guys think about that resolution?
Which resolution are you talking about?
The resolution with Tron and his dad.
Oh, yeah. Him giving him a kiss was really that was dope.
That was one moment where I really felt like an emotional roller coaster because, watching his dad struggle and barely being able to breathe or walk, I was like, Tron, just help him. Like, he's your father. But at the same time, I have a great relationship with my father. I love my father. If I ever saw my father in that way, I would just want to hold him. But he doesn't have that relationship. His dad left him. His dad,
to fend for himself.
Not necessarily saying it's his fault because it still could have happened the way it happened, but his dad kind of had his part in how he ended up even getting arrested. Then he wasn't there for him when he was in court. Then he left his mom while he was in jail. So why should I help this guy? So I went through this constant battle of be there for your dad. He's dying. You have to make this right versus he wasn't there for you. He didn't care about you. Why should you care now? And it was such a
tough,
emotional roller coaster to go through. Yeah.
I had the same thing because I kept going like, help this dad, but Michael K. Williams is so powerful that every time I felt bad for him, I remember when he told him, you tell them everything and you
I was
like, no, that was your fault.
Right. Yeah, like, exactly. And it's hard to not hold on to that as a child when you're in there and all you have is time to think over and over and over those situations. So for him to come home and be angry, I totally get that. He left and the family was just, I'm sure that helped propel it. Well, that was the catalyst for it, for him and for the mom and dad to break up. Yeah. But I thought that was so dope and so mature of the mom to be able to even allow herself to be a caretaker for somebody that turned her.
But
he turned his back.
Because she loved him.
But I love my ex, but I ain't. You know what I mean? I know how to walk away.
But I think she was like it was a situation. Yeah. She was like, if this didn't happen, our lives would be completely 100% different.
Exactly. Because they were lovey-dovey. They would love birds.
And she was also in a situation where she probably felt like she didn't have anyone else because her son was in jail. He left, but then he came back, and it's like, finally, I have somebody who's here. And then, he was going through what he was going through. He was sick. She probably just felt like...
it felt good to maybe take care of him.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe it did. You're right. Thing. Maybe it was cathartic for her.
Yeah, probably so.
And then... there was that moment though when he falls, and he kind of goes there to help him obligatory. But for me, there was a moment of forgiveness, where the father looked at him and realized wait, you do love me.
Yeah.
Like, then maybe you do forgive me. And it seemed like there was a moment where he forgave him and he kind of cried. And to me, that was like,
he gave him a kiss.
That was everything.
Yeah, exactly. That was a cherry on top. The fact that he
Yeah.
helped him, came to his aid was kind of surprising because he had been so anti to begin with. But the fact that he kissed him, that spoke volumes.
And especially knowing that his father died soon after, it's great that they were able to finally have that moment.
At least that
before
moment.
that he lost them.
It probably didn't turn into like a conversation where they had to come to Jesus meeting. But I do love the fact that he gave him some affection and
they
had a
didn't have
moment.
to.
Yeah, I don't think they needed to. That was enough.
Yeah. And so, well, we got to get into some great segments here. We got our top 3 quotable segment, which is my favorite. So let's go down and get each of your top 1 quote to make our full 3.
I think my favorite one was Kevin's sister telling him when he was in jail that you need to find your something to look forward to. I thought that was so profound. You know, we go through things in life. We go through trials. It's something like him. He's in jail. You have to find something to look forward to. It's kind of like basically having faith that things are going to get better, having faith that things are going to turn around for you. So I thought that was a great quote, just that we can even use now, even if we're not in prison, that we just have to keep our eyes focused on the light and have faith and always have something to look forward to. I love that.
I love that too.
I love that because I really felt that was almost a theme of the episode because it was, you know, whether it was relationship hope or, you know, reconciling with the father, there was beautiful moments that everybody was finding to make
little
this life
pockets
work.
of love, little pockets of hope. Genuine hope. Yeah,
that
definitely.
could somehow make it conceivable. You could be locked up wrongfully and come out and still live a life.
Yeah.
So obviously I should have taken better notes. I forgot my quote. What's my quote? I remember if you tell me.
You had the about hating ourselves because I believe the mom said to was it Yusef?
Yeah.
She said to him.
Oh gosh, I'm so sorry, y'all. Tacky head, tacky kitty. We just said it. I'm horrible. Okay, there was a good quote, and the fact that the mother was giving these pearls of wisdom. You know what I don't.
Oh, that's
I
what
don't
it was. They hate your brilliance, they hate your beauty, they hate us, but they will not make us hate ourselves.
Yeah, and that was super.
Beautiful.
It was beautiful. And you know what? A visual that stuck in my mind that I thought was pretty cool when the younger self came out. Not Yusef, the cutie pie that got his
Kevin.
head. Thank you. When Kevin came out and was sat down. All of the women immediately touched on him.
Yeah.
The fact that they made sure that there was physical contact and that he was reassured that we're here for you. This is your space. This is for whatever you want to talk about. We are here to listen. We're here to support. We came to make sure that we love you up.
Yeah.
That was so beautiful.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed watching that part.
And we had our last quote was about guilt and guilt being lazy energy that we talked about.
That's what the one. Okay, that's the one I was thinking.
And so guilt being lazy energy, and I love that because
it's a waste. It really is.
And there's so much guilt to go around in this story
Exactly.
that it will kill any of them.
Exactly.
And so I love that she said, I can't change the past, can't shift the future, so you got to let it go.
You got to.
Yeah.
And guilt is, and I thought it helped me. I mean, it shifts my paradigm quite a bit because I feel guilty about all kinds of things. I'm sure we all do, especially as parents. You're always thinking, I should be doing more. I should be doing this, that, and the third. And so beating yourself up does what? Like, how does that gain any kind of, it isn't a good thing.
One thing that struck me was Yusef Salaam, Sharon Salaam. The way she's portrayed, it's almost as if she's done everything right.
Yeah.
And that's what was heartbreaking. She's done everything she possibly could, and there's nothing to prevent this.
Right.
You know?
And it still happens.
And what was even more heartbreaking was the fact that she lost her job and wasn't able to get jobs because of something that happened with her son.
Yeah.
I never even realized that it could
You don't
affect
think
your
about it.
family.
It could affect your cousin because of the last name if it's memorable enough, you know? And so, watching him scratch off his last name, Tron decide to change his name.
To Brown.
Yeah, it's just like...
all of them
Everybody wants
pockets.
to be a Brown.
Yeah.
Brown's is the best girl.
We are.
But it's just tough to deal with those realities.
Yeah.
Well, we got our news and predictions. Let's get into our news now.
All right.
Yes.
We've got our... Where's that news drop?
All right, guys, so we got a few news stories for you today. The first one is that our creator and director, Ava DuVernay, has just been attached to direct and co-write another movie. She will be co-writing the New God screenplay, and she will be co-writing it with the writer of DC Comics Batman, Tom King, who is an Eisner Award-winning comic book writer. So we know it's going to be good because everything that Ava does is good. So we are looking...
Is it animation? What is it?
I don't think it's animated. I think it's live action. It didn't say it was animated.
Okay.
Yeah. And then our next news. So in the the last episode of when we gave our news and gossip, we talked about Trump and his tweets about civil rights reform. We read those. But we realized that Ava actually responded to those tweets.
Oh, yeah? What'd she say?
I'm waiting for him to pull it up. Let's see if I have it on my end. So, just a reminder of what Trump said. He said, anyone associated with the 1994 crime bill will not have the chance of being elected. In particular, African Americans will not be able to vote for you. I, on the other hand, was responsible for criminal justice reform, which had tremendous support and helped fix the bad 1994 bill. Our good sis Ava Duvernay was like, no, boo-boo.
Right. Let me check you at the door.
And quoted the tweet and responded to him and said, the story people know is the lie that you told them. Your violent rhetoric fed tensions that led to the bill you pretend to distance yourself from. But you can't hide from what you did to the Central Park Five. They were innocent, and they will have the last word.
Amen.
And I think they did with this show.
No question.
Ava's doing it for the culture. I tell you.
Yes, indeed. Possibly. That's that black girl magic, baby.
Man.
And
Wow.
that's our news and gossip for today.
Wow, some good news and gossip.
Yes.
Well, we got to go into our predictions, and I guess these predictions are actually going to be like predictions because we really didn't expect what happened. We didn't know these parts of the story. So, what are your predictions for the next and final episode?
Your AfterBuzz TV.
My biggest prediction and my biggest hope is that we're finally going to see what happened to Korey.
I was just going to say that.
Because he was not in part
Yes,
3
at all.
He's still in jail, which I would like to know why that is and what happened with him. So my prediction is that we're finally going to get that story and we're going to see, how everything ended up with our 5.
Right. Well, that's where I was going with this, so I'll pick something else. Not Yusef, Hispanic.
Yeah, get
Raymond.
Raymond. Yeah,
Raymond. I predict that Raymond is he's not gonna make it out. That they're gonna hit him with a long time. In addition to what he's already done, again, because they don't compartmentalize, right? And I think that the judge that he goes up against or whomever, right, is going to be biased, and he's not going to get a fair shake, and so he's going to end up spending the rest of his life in jail.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost terrifying because I wish I would have seen what they were up to in 2019.
Right.
Did I not, or like,
well, we can
what
Google it.
transpired.
I'm sure there's somebody that's written something.
But I actually want to see it fresh. I don't want to already kind of know
Well,
the
he's
details.
out now because,
so
he's been
something.
out doing, press for the show and went to the premiere and stuff. So we know he
Raymond
gets out
is?
eventually. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, see, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
But yeah, so we don't. What happened in the intro?
Yeah, but we're going to see what it took for him to get back
Where
out.
he is.
So, yeah,
Okay.
Let me do my prediction. A happy prediction. I'm gonna say Ray and Tanya make it. Right?
Oh.
'Cause, I mean, they gotta make it, right?
Oh, yeah.
That
'Cause
would
that
be
was almost a
dope.
storybook love story that we saw. So I gotta figure that held on to something strong.
That's dope. That would be very dope. Yeah.
That is my prediction. So we got episode 4 coming up. How are you guys feeling? Are you guys mentally prepared for the last episode?
I'm so looking forward to it because I feel like this is the redemption episode, right?
Yeah.
Like finally we see everything that they've been through, and then they're like kind of they get out, but they're still kind of straddling the fence, not because they want to, but because they kind of have to, and just getting themselves acclimated and getting their feet under themselves. So I'm really looking forward to see how they become members of society again and what that translates into, what that looks like.
Yeah.
It's almost kind of bittersweet for me. One, because, I've really enjoyed watching this. As heavy as it's been very good to watch, very entertaining, just beautiful imagery and cinematography, and the writing has been amazing.
Yeah.
But I
And the
think the
acting.
thing that has the acting, yes, phenomenal. But I think the thing that's disheartening for me is the fact that once we finish with part 4, we're kind of done with this ride. We can move on with our lives, but these men are still dealing with this. So kind of just knowing that even after part 4 is over, that somebody is still having to deal with this in their lives. It's very hard to think about. It makes me very sad.
It does for me as well, and I think that domino effect, I mean, not just them, obviously these are the ones that we are, we're looking at it in real time, but when you think about all the other people that have been wrongly excused,
that too,
that are still in there, or that are just coming home. I mean, I have a friend that did 14 years and he was exonerated not exonerated, but was freed by Obama. I remember when he got in office, he made sure that he went into the prison system and got a lot of guys out.
Drug convictions,
and he overturned it, obviously. So I'm saying that my friend, when he came home, I can't fathom what 14 years years looks
Does to-
like.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Or does to your mind and your whole mindset about life in general. So it was always interesting to see certain aspects of him that would just kind of pop out that you would be like, that's that prison shit.
Yeah.
Like you're letting, no, I didn't say that to him, but that's in my mind. You know,
Yeah.
certain things that he would do would just be like, that's not appropriate for being in the world. But it would take time, obviously, for him to get back into a place where he felt comfortable.
And I think, prison reform, I guess, already kind of is front and center, but hopefully this continues to keep it front and center and that we can do some things about it, because I think that is going to be the conversation after watching something like this. What can we do, because this is still happening now?
Exactly. And just as you said, we go on with our lives and think we can push that to the side and say, okay, this happened. We saw the outcome of it. We spoke on it. But now, my life dictates that I do this, that, and the third. And I do think that it's paramountly important for us to take a stand. If we feel this strongly about it, it's not enough to tweet or to retweet somebody's thing or put something on IG. What really matters is doing the work, volunteering with different organizations, being a part of the change and actually the change that you want to see in the world. Gandhi said it best.
And even if you think you don't have the time, educating yourself is part of it too.
Exactly.
So just reading and knowing and learning.
Right.
But we got episode 4 coming up, guys. I'm excited. Again, guys, my name is Shaka Smith. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat at Shaka Strong.
My name is Kittie Kaboom. You can find me on IG at KITTIEKABOOM. Facebook is Kitty Meow. And what's the other one, y'all? Twitter, Kitty Meow.
And I'm Alexis, and you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at I am Lexi Fierce.
I'll see you guys episode 4.
See you next time.
See you in a minute.
Our founder, Kevin Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.